Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend RJ City, and this is the Hollywood Squared Circle, where we talk about wrestling episodes of non-wrestling shows, and today we are talking about Quantum Leap, Season 3, Episode 20, entitled Heart of a Champion. For those of you who don't know, Quantum Leap aired on NBC from 1989 to 1993, spanning 5 seasons and 97 episodes. It starred Scott Bakula as Sam Beckett, a physicist who experiments himself into faulty time travel, where he ends up in a loop of jumping into other people's lives and taking their places to try and right their wrongs. It also starred Dean Stockwell as Sam's hologram best friend, Al. This wrestling episode stars the one and only Terry Funk as Carl Shiloh. It also stars Deborah Wakeham, Angela Patton, Susan Isaacs, Don Hood, and Rance Howard, the father of Ron and Clint Howard. Wow. Anyway, here's what happens. So Sam wakes up in 1955 in the middle of a tag team match, and he's a bad guy Russian wrestler, and his brother and partner is also a bad guy Russian wrestler, and they're wrestling these two good guys known as the Executioners. Sam, of course, has no idea how to wrestle, but he backflips out of a suplex and then still sells it like he's the one who got hurt. They're getting their asses kicked, punch, kick, airplane spin, the whole thing. Sam moves out of the way of a splash and then somehow suddenly knows how to do karate because he hits a spin kick and knocks the guy out cold. So out cold that the ref just counts 3 without Sam even actually pinning him. So the Russians win. Then Sam's partner gets on the mic and starts cutting a classic heel Russian promo, and it's 1955, so everyone's booing and throwing garbage. Turns out Sam's ring name is Nikolai, and his partner's is Ivan. Gee, wonder where they got those names. And Ivan is like, we're gonna beat the shit out of those Shiloh brothers. One of which is Terry Funk, who is in the audience in a cowboy hat, and he is fuming. Sam gets to the back and realizes his partner is not Russian at all, and it's actually his real-life brother, some guy named Ronnie. Then Sam looks in the mirror and sees whose body he jumped into. His brother explains that all the wrestling matches are planned in advance, except for the title matches, which are apparently real. Then the promoter comes in and is like, why was that match so short and not on script? And then Ronnie's like, give us a title shot. But the promoter already has the Shiloh boys against the Mongolians next show, so the Russians will just have to wait their turn. Then the promoter says, and no more of that kicking stuff. And then Shiloh's girlfriend comes in the locker room and starts hitting on Sam, but Shiloh shows up and he says, what the hell is going on here? Shiloh then stuffs Sam into a locker, rips the door off the locker, and bends it over his head. Then Al shows up and actually fills Sam in on who Sam actually is. He's a new wrestler from a family of wrestlers in Atlanta, and he's replacing his brother in the tag team who died in a car accident right before the Russians could get their title shot. And then their mom shows up and is like, we got a title shot, the Mongolians are in jail. Just promise not to do any of that kicking stuff. But then Al is like, listen, Sam, your brother Ronnie can't wrestle in this title match because if he does, he's gonna die. I have zero idea why. Al doesn't know either, but he's gonna go find out, so he's like, Sam, just make sure Ronnie does not wrestle this match. Cut to Sam and Ronnie at a bar, and Ronnie is all excited to win the titles, and he's like, hey, Sam, why don't you start trying to do a sleeper hold? It's very effective. Sam tries to talk him out of wrestling that match, but it's not working at all. Then Al shows up and says apparently Ronnie will just collapse in the ring during the match from heart failure, so we have to see how we can stop this. And then Sam looks over and Ronnie is about to get into a bar fight, which is also very bad for your heart. Sam talks them all down, but as they're leaving, one of the guys tries to sneak up on Sam, and Sam karate kicks him through a table. That kicking stuff is very effective. Cut to Ronnie's trailer, and Sam is eating there with Ronnie, Ronnie's wife, and Ronnie's kid. Again, all arguing about wrestling. But then Ronnie starts feeling all dizzy. Foreshadowing. Then Sam starts asking Ronnie's wife about Ronnie's health, and apparently this has been going on for a while. She wants Ronnie to quit the business, but she says their mother is forcing Ronnie to wrestle. And then the mother overhears this. Then the mother and Sam start arguing about Ronnie again. And the mother's like, no, Ronnie has got to wrestle tomorrow night, and Sam, if you don't want to wrestle, I can always have you replaced. Then Sam goes back to his trailer where Shiloh's wife is waiting for him. Oh shit. And she's rubbing herself down with an ice cube. Dear Lord. But Sam's like, yeah, you're very attractive, but I'm not gonna do this. Sam's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. Your husband is gonna kill me. Then she pushes him down on the bed just as Shiloh knocks on the door, and he's like, I know you're in there. And then Al shows up and is like, hey, Sam, apparently this woman gets her kicks by cheating on her husband only to watch him kill them later. Then Shiloh busts through the window, grabs Sam's head and says, I'm gonna rip your head off and shove it up your ass. Then Sam escapes out of the top of the trailer just as Shiloh busts in, charges at him, and runs right into a wall. Then Sam goes to the bar with the promoter and tells him they want to pull out of the match because Ronnie is sick and doesn't know it yet. The promoter's like, no, fuck that. But Sam is like, look, at least let's just get a doctor to check him out before the match. Cut to the doctor checking Ronnie out, who thinks this whole thing is a setup anyway. But it's 1955, so he's a shitty doctor. He just checks his breathing, and he's like, well, you look fine to me. And then Sam is like, well, you did a shitty job. And the doctor and promoter leave, and the match is still on. Back at the trailer, Al pulls up Ronnie's medical history. I have no idea how. He finds out that Ronnie once had rheumatic fever as a child, which is the cause of his heart condition. So Sam confronts Ronnie and his mother's like, how did you even know about that? Then she starts divulging how serious it was, and now she starts believing, yeah, this might be serious. Now the mom wants to pull out of the match, but Ronnie's like, no! We have titles to win, and I'm doing this match no matter what. Moments before the show, Sam tells Al, listen, what if I just wrestle the whole match and I never let Ronnie tag in? So then Sam tells Ronnie, look, if we win tonight, you have to promise me to get a full physical. So Ronnie finally agrees, and they're set to have the match. So then the promoter walks in, and he's like, by the way, you guys have to lose. It's 1955, and you're Russians. You're not winning the titles, even though you're not actually Russian. Then Shiloh shows up in the best ring outfit ever and says, I'm gonna legit kick your ass. So then the match begins and the promoter announces them without really knowing how to use a microphone. And I should also mention that Shiloh also has a brother partner, but I have no idea who the fuck he is because we haven't seen him until now. He doesn't look like a wrestler or an actor, but it doesn't matter because this is the Terry Funk Show. The bell rings and Shiloh starts immediately beating the shit out of Sam. But Sam slips out of a fireman's carry and hits an arm drag. Then Shiloh really fucks him up. Hip toss, punches, and an atomic drop. But Sam won't tag out. Cut to later in the match. Shiloh is very sweaty and hits a pile driver. In credit to Scott Bakula, I really think that's him in there. But Sam kicks out. Then Shiloh throws Sam out of the ring and Al's like, Jesus Christ, Sam, I think you're gonna get killed. And then Sam's like, no, I have an idea. Shiloh throws him back in the ring. He goes for the lariat, but Sam ducks it and locks on the sleeper, just like his brother casually mentioned at the bar days ago. Shiloh passes out, and the Russians win. Go to the back with the belts, and Sam is happy, but Ronnie's pissed because he didn't do anything the whole match. Sam is like, hey, we had a deal. We won the belt, so now you have to go to the hospital and get checked out. So now Ronnie does not die in the ring. Then Al shows up to inform Sam that Ronnie never wrestles again. But his son does in the Olympics. Okay, great. Then Shiloh is dragged into the locker room with his wife. She's like, what did you do to my husband? Then she bends over and has a split in her dress, and Al convinces Sam to literally kick her in the ass. And just as he does, he quantum leaps out of this place. And then he quantum leaps into a kitchen with a hazmat suit on. And these people are crawling in with gas masks saying they just dropped the bomb on New York City and it's World War III. Jesus, what a depressing and unnecessary ending. Well, that was the wrestling episode of Quantum Leap. This has been the Hollywood Squared Circle, and I've completely wasted your time.